Hello crafty friends, in today's video we're going to bust some backgrounds. I've pulled out a bunch of warm colours from my box of backgrounds and bits. I'm going to try and use as many of these as I can on some cards today. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out some stitched rectangles from each of these backgrounds. What I want to do now is cut out some sentiments using these little B block out dies. I won't use the letters on these cards, but I'll keep them for use on other cards. I want the outside of the die really. To get my sentiments in the right place, I've got my rule of thirds grid, which is the same size as the finished card will be. I'll put my backgrounds where they're going to be on the finished card, and then I can use the grid to place my sentiments where I want them. This one's dead easy, I don't need the grid for this really, because it's going to go in the centre vertically and horizontally, and I use a bit of washi tape to hold that in place. So with this one I want to put it up here on this top grid line over to the left, which I think will work about there. This one again I want on that top third line, but we're going portrait this time, so it's straddling this line and it will be cut mostly out of the coloured portion of this. I think I'll pop a little bit of tape runner on the back of these just to stop them wiggling around on the acetate mat. And this over to the left, could go over to the right, I might do that for a change. And I want the birthday to straddle this bottom grid line. Do I, or do I want them? Actually no, what I want is them to be within that middle row there. This one says love, and I want that in the middle, straddling this line. And I want it to say love you, so that's going to go there. I'm not going to stick that down yet because I've got another one that I want to say thank you. So with this one, I want the thank to sit on this line because I want the you to sit below the line. This one just says thanks and it can sit on that bottom third there. If you want to know how to make an acetate grid like this, there is a video linked below. So I've cut all the apertures now and I want to back each one with something, just so there's something visible through the hole there. I've got this piece of acetate that I put DIY glitter paste on in a recent video, so I'm thinking this one would look quite nice with a bit of glitter. That glitter is well and truly stuck, it's not going to rub off, but I could have it with the glitter facing out or the shiny side facing out. I think I'm going to do the shiny side. To stick it down, I'm just going to put some double-sided tape around the aperture. I'm thinking this needs a little bit of something extra, so I'm going to stamp on it, and I've put it in here because I've got a grip mat in this stamp positioner and it'll hold this still a bit more easily than my flippy toppy one. I'm wondering about a black floral across that there. I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black ink because this is a silicone stamp and this ink works really well with silicone stamps. I'll give it a good press with my pressy tool. There is that bit of acetate under the back which makes it a bit lumpy, so I'm hoping this has worked. Obviously if you set out to make a card like this, you could do your stamping before you do your die cutting. So yeah, I think that works. Might have to use a pen to just finish off some of this rose. The little halo there is almost hidden, but if you tilt it about you can definitely see it, especially with that glitter there. For this card, I'm wondering about black glitter cardstock. I think it needs something bold behind it to make it stand out. And while I'm here, I want to add a contrasting colour, because this is all warms, reds, oranges, yellows. I want to add something from the cool side of the colour wheel. So I've got this teal, and I'm going to spatter that on. Just adds a little bit of contrast and a bit of shimmer and shine. And I'll dry that with my hairdryer. I want to put this black glitter on the back, and glitter cardstock doesn't stick generally very well to double-sided tape, so I'm going to use some high-tack wet glue. I want to add a little bit of lift to this panel, so I'm going to use 1mm deep foam tape, but I don't need it to be this wide, and I can actually make better use of my foam tape by sticking it to a bit of release paper and then cutting it lengthways with my scissors. The release paper just stops all that sticky going over my scissors. Makes it a lot easier to handle. So I've actually stopped buying skinny double-sided foam tape because I can make my own really easily. Right, happy with that one? This has got quite a pale wash on it, so I'm thinking some nice matte copper, and I might actually give it a little border as well like that. But I want to add something else to it, maybe some more stamping. So I'm thinking actually not stamping but dot markers, and I'm going to go from the bottom all the way up to the top corner there with variable sized dots. And I'm going to do foam tape again to separate the copper from the card. So we'll stick that on there like that and trim it down. I do want to add some copper on top, so I'm going to die cut some tiny little circles using this die. Put some little spots of matte gel medium amongst my dots here and use my wax picker-upper thing to pick up my dots and pop them on. Right, and I think that brings it all together. So I think this bright bold happy birthday really lends itself to being a shaker card. So I've put some double-sided sticky around my letters there, and I'm putting some acetate on the back. I've got some of this 1mm deep foam tape again, but I want it to be 2mm deep. So hopefully I'll be able to stick it to itself, double it up, chop off the ends, slice it in half that way, and then add it to the back. Because the letters are so small, I'm not going to put any big shaker bits in this. I'm going to put some glitter. Because I'm going to use glitter, I want to make sure there are absolutely no gaps around the wells. I don't want it seeping out. And I want to put foam up against the bottom, more or less, of my words so that the glitter doesn't disappear when the card is stood up. I always like to take the release paper off before I put my shaker bits in, because if I put the glitter in first and then try and take off the release paper, I am going to get glitter everywhere because I won't be able to do it without jogging the whole thing. Just means I have to be a bit more careful when I pour in the glitter. I'm going to use translucent iridescent glitter, mainly because it's quite a bold, colourful card front. And I think if I put colour glitter in, you're not going to be able to read the words at all. To cover the back, I'm just going to use copy paper. And I can trim off the excess. Just get my scissors underneath the top there. Give it a good shake. Right, no glitter's coming out, so that's good. So I'm not getting enough contrast there between the foreground and the shaker. So I've cut the words again out of gold and cut them down with my trimmer so they're rectangles. And I'm thinking, pop those there. I'll use my glue dotter. Yes, definitely happy with that now. I think it needed that bit of contrast there. So while I've got my gold out, I'm going to die cut some letters out of gold, but I'm going to pop it on some craft foam to give it a bit of a lift. So put some tape runner on the back of this, and I'm going to stick it on my card blank. And I've got my foam letters that I can pop into the aperture. Actually, what I'm going to do is slightly offset them so they have a white drop shadow from the aperture that I cut in the panel. So if I'd had the idea of offsetting the gold and the aperture before I'd started this card, I would have cut the aperture maybe slightly to the right so that the gold is more centered, but it's fine as it is. I do want to add a bit more dimension onto the front of this card though, so I'm going to add a few Gold Coast glitter drops. These will dry clear, but they've got some tiny little bits of gold glitter in them. So I just think 3 groups of 3, and I'll put that off to one side where I'm not going to stick my fingers in it. I'm thinking with this one, I'd like to cut a heart, as it's a love you card, out of the panel with the writing on it. So this can go on my card blank, and now I'm going to use the same die to cut a gold glitter heart. I'll stick this in with a bit of tape runner, so that's going to go in there like that. Now I've got the bit I cut out the panel with a bit of foam tape on the back to give it some lift, and I'm going to place that perfectly, hopefully, over that heart. So now I've got glittery letters recessed and a nice raised heart, sort of an eclipse type effect. And I think I'm happy with that. I think that's finished. I might add a few little gold glitter dots, but I'll leave it and see how I feel later. For the Celebrate card, I want a band of dark glitteriness across the sentiment. So I'm going to cut it out of this copper glitter cardstock. I'll use my trimmer to slice that into a band. And I'll use my glue dotter to add glue to the back of this. If you want to know how to make a glue dotter, there is a video linked below. That can go over there, and I'll use my guillotine just to slice that down. So I've put my panel on some foam tape and I stuck it on a card blank and it's stuck down wonky, so I just trimmed the card blank down, so it's now got a little bit of a white border around it, as well as the white border on this card blank, and hopefully that's all straight now. I will just go along all my trimmer cut edges to bevel them, makes them look a little bit neater. And I've got some copper penny nouveau drops here. I'm going to pop 3 there and 3 there, and that's that one. So here we have 7 cards from 7 backgrounds. Very happy with the way these have turned out. I hope you like the cards. I hope you like the video. I hope you've enjoyed this month of hints and tips and tricks and ultimate guide type videos. If you have, I'd love it if you could subscribe and ring the notification bell. And please consider leaving a comment and a thumbs up. Right, I'll see you back here on the 1st of September for another card making video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.